In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today, I'm grateful to have a conversation with Jenn Bane, a marketing powerhouse with over 15 years of experience in content strategy, community building, and brand development. Jenn's impressive career spans roles in American Library Association, Cards Against Humanity, which is one of my favorite, and her current position as creative director at M. Harris. Jenn, thanks for taking the time and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You betcha. I'm really excited about talking today. You've had an interesting journey in marketing, and I'm just curious about how you're using or seeing the use of AI tools in the work you're doing right now.
Yeah. So my role right now, as you mentioned, I'm the creative director of a marketing firm here in Chicago called M. Harris & Co. And our clients include Stanford Medicine, Purdue University, NORC at the University of Chicago. And we also do a lot of creative work for Ever Restaurant, the 2 Michelin star restaurant here in Chicago. And I see AI, where I grapple with AI right now is in writing and editing. I am referring, of course, to ChatGPT. And by the time this airs, ChatGPT could be different, honestly. So I'm speaking about a very specific moment right now in ChatGPT. And I grapple with it because it certainly has its uses. I actually think it can be useful for writers, but it's got some problems. And a couple of those problems are it loves cliches, it loves to use jargon, and it seems to not like to fact check, and that's a real problem.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand why we're still getting those weird hallucinations.
Like when you generate an image, yeah.
Or just like if let's say I put in your LinkedIn profile and instead of saying M. Harris, it would say dial pad, and you're like, well, there it's referencing a specific website. Why would it make up something at that point of review, right? Like that's a major flaw. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a problem. We just published this book called Everybody Needs an Editor, and the title, the word editor here is what I'm trying to get at, because if you use ChatGPT for your press release, for copywriting, whatever you use ChatGPT for, you have to then be the editor of it. You can't trust ChatGPT to produce good writing or produce writing that is accurate. I think it could be used as a really good start. I think it can be used as a first draft, but more and more as AI becomes, used, we're all going to have to become really sharp editors.
Yeah, I'm curious. Are there any tools that you're using on a daily basis right now that you would share with us?
Well, maybe this isn't super helpful, but I use the brains of my colleagues to edit my work. So I am very fortunate in that where I work, we're all, not me, but the people I work with are all former journalists, including former editors. Many come from the Chicago Tribune. So if I write something, I want their eyes on it. And even if you don't have access to the world's best editors, like I, very, very lucky, you have to show your writing to other people. Don't show it to just ChatGPT. I mean, do show it to ChatGPT. I think that's a really good step. But please show your writing to other people. That is a tool that isn't like the eyes and instincts and emotions and lived experience. ChatGPT can't compete with that.
Yeah, there's no doubt that at this point in its development, it's not. It doesn't contain the creative spark that we need and the experience we need in order to turn out A+ work, right?
Right. What it can do, it's really good at structure and format. Like if you're making, if you're writing a resume, a cover letter, an application, I do think it can be really useful in getting you organized. It can give you a really good start. So I do recommend it for that. But any piece of writing that has your byline on it, that has your name on it, like commentary, op-ed, personal essay, especially for something like college admission or an editorial you're submitting, I think ChatGPT in those situations should probably be pretty far away. You should not be using it.
Well, then run me through some of the premises of the book. How what are you recommending that people do besides having a high level of human editor? How do we those of us with small budgets manage to get our work edited?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you want to know if you're not in my fortunate position to have really great colleagues, but you still have people in your life that you should be showing your work to. Here's an example, and we recommend this in the book. It's one of the many lessons in our book that I want people to know. When you are writing an email to customers, clients, audience, fans, test your subject lines, not just with ChatGPT, but test them with your colleagues. Write 10 subject lines, send them to your people over Slack or email or in person if you meet in person, and ask them which of these would you click on. If you have 10 minutes to write an important email, I honestly think 9 of those minutes should be spent on the subject line.
Well, love it. And that, so you're in a constant state of testing, is what I hear, Jen.
Yeah, constant state of editing and testing and getting your work in front of other people. And then the other thing I really want to emphasize that people should do is read your work out loud. When you read your work out loud, you'll start to notice the things that don't flow, that you have struggle saying, that you have a hard time saying out loud. That is your brain telling you, fix this. I had someone read a piece of writing in a workshop the other day, and halfway through reading a paragraph, they had to take a big deep breath and then continue. And that was an immediate sign that they had written way too long of a sentence.
Right. Yeah. Occasionally you want to put a period in it and start again, right?
Yes.
Well, I like that. That's a tool that I was taught too. Any other ideas about how we might be able to integrate editing into our workday?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to glance at my notes here. Okay, so obviously my number one tip is to get our book. Everybody needs an editor. I think it's on sale on Amazon, bookshop.org, any place, independent bookstores, wherever you live. But I want to emphasize how important editing is. And it is so important in business writing because you need to cut all the jargon and all the cliches from your writing. If I could emphasize that to our clients and get them to listen to me, that is exactly what I would say. No cliches, no jargon. Which
Yeah.
AI seems to love cliches and love jargon. And jargon is just so everyone understands what I mean by jargon, because the word jargon is almost jargon at this point.
That's a good point.
Yeah. By jargon I mean words and phrases that only people inside your own industry know. And if you are an architecture firm and your website is covered in jargon, and you might think, well, I'm only speaking to other architects or whatever the case may be. But that's not quite true, because isn't your goal to expand your audience, isn't your goal to make your brand matter to more people. And that means you can't have any language that the average person walking down the street wouldn't understand. And people are usually too afraid to admit if they don't know something. So just assume they don't know what your jargon means and cut it from your writing.
I think that's a great point. And from my perspective, which was my book was called Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI. And so what the jargon just lumps you in with everybody else in the industry versus having the brand voice or the founder voice that you need in order to attract people when they're trying to compare and contrast you against other suppliers or vendors. So that's my
that's exactly right. Writing cliches and jargon are empty words. And I think people often think that they're competing that they're going up against their competitors, but they're actually competing for people's attention. And every single word you write, you have to be able to defend it. You should be able to justify every single word. And if you can't justify it, then you have to cut it.
Yeah, we have 2.6 seconds to get attention, and then we have about 10 seconds to maintain somebody's attention. And as we know from our own experience and being of getting these 30,000 messages a day, it can be exhausting.
Yes, it is exhausting. I right before this was starting, I was doom scrolling on my phone, and yeah, and I only got pulled away because I had a 9:30 a.m. meeting with you.
Well, I'm glad I could save you from that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I guess. How have you seen writing change from when you were in school doing journalism and marketing to what you see now in the marketplace with the clients that you're working with?
Yeah, so in my undergrad, I studied journalism, and I'm so grateful for that. I never ended up practicing as a journalist, as an actual journalist or reporter, but journalism training is the reason why I can write briefly, why I can write concisely, sharply, and quickly and accurately, and I'm so thankful for that. Whereas I know many people, many of my friends who would say they struggle with writing now because they were taught, and they're still, brains are still stuck on this thing of a 5-paragraph essay or filling a page or meeting a word count. And that it's not really a thing in journalism school. Certainly as the industry has changed, like we no longer have newspapers to fill up, or at least I never did. It was more like I was taught how to write for the web from, age 19. And I think that's really helped me.
Yeah, that's an interesting cultural shift, right? And that long form newspaper writing is relatively dead, unless you're talking about obituaries. Then you're
Right.
literally dead.
Literally dead.
But no, so that's interesting. Are there some other things that we can integrate into our daily professional life that are kind of some of the things that you think that people are missing?
Yeah, I really think when it comes to professional communications, we can all do a better job of writing emails. I was giving a workshop the other day at the University of Chicago, and someone came up to me afterwards and gave me, we were having a conversation, and they said, one thing my dad always taught me was bottom line up front. And I was like, oh, that is such a good, succinct, brief way of saying, tell me what I need to know at the top.
Don't bury the headline, right?
Don't bury it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I actually kind of see that trend a lot when I'm helping clients edit maybe their press releases or copywriting. Their most important and most exciting information is not in the title. And the justification might be, well, I want people to read the title and then read on. And no. People will only read the title of and that applies to social media, that applies to like a literal headline at the top of your website, it applies to your subject line. Like you should always assume that no one is going to read past the first 2 sentences.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And just the idea that you could get people to do something that you want them to do, I think that's a fascinating inaccuracy, I think, that non-marketers have about marketing, right? Like everybody's saying, oh, you guys are, you're always getting people to do things, or you're tricking them, or, whatever the kind of the negative dark arts of marketing. It's like, no, we're just putting these messages out in the middle of their day, trying to get their attention for 10 seconds so they'll do something.
Yeah. I think marketing, I like that you use the phrase dark arts. That's pretty funny. I think marketing can be very persuasive. It can persuade people to make better choices for their health and their planet and for the communities they're in. So that's the side of marketing I'm most excited about. We actually just launched a new branch of our company at M. Harris & Co. It's called Provable, and it's a science communication force. We're teaming up with a design firm called MG Strategy and Design. And together we serve clients in public health, we serve clients in climate science, and we're kind of teaming up to work on these science projects, these important projects, because scientists need help communicating.
For
Like
sure.
scientists are extremely good at what they do. They're doing a great job, but there's a missing piece here, which is they're having a hard time getting their message in front of the right person. They're having a hard time persuading people. People trust in science right now is lowering. Yeah. So like that, I'm really excited about, the persuasive power of marketing for good.
Yeah. And I think the scientist it's like engineers. If you ever work with an engineering agency, you've got these really smart subject matter experts, and they do not understand anything about how to tell a story to get people interested in what they're doing. I think
Yeah.
everybody should be as smart as they are, right?
Yeah. And I understand, I understand why an engineer, would be fearful or maybe uncertain about working with a writer or someone who works in marketing, because they're like, well, you're going to dumb down my science.
Right.
And that there has to be no, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to clarify, we're going to simplify, and we're going to distill the complex work you do so the average person can understand.
Yeah, and so that people who are in your ideal client profile will be triggered to ask what's next. Right?
Yeah, what's next? That's right.
Yeah. Well, I love it. So tell me the name of the book again that you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for asking. It is called Everybody Needs an Editor, by myself, Jenn Bane, and our CEO and founder also wrote it with me. Her name is Melissa Harris. And you can get the book at bookshop.org, Amazon, or at your local indie bookstore.
Awesome. And if people want to get in touch with you directly, Jenn, how do they do that?
I would love that. You can get a hold of me at jenn@mharris.com, or just visit. You can take a look at our case studies and the work we do at mharris.com.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I appreciate your time this morning and sharing your insights on why everybody needs an editor, of which I agree with you entirely. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.